When we think of voice AI, our minds usually jump to like setting a kitchen timer or asking for the weather. But what if it's actually so much more than that? Today, we're going to dig into how it's becoming this incredibly sophisticated partner that's changing the very way we get ideas out of our heads and into the world. So yeah, let's dive in.
So let me just ask you this right off the bat. Are your fingers slowing down your brain? I know, it sounds a little dramatic, doesn't it? But stick with me, because it gets right to the heart of a problem so many of us face every single day, and we might not even realize it.
And that problem? Well, we can call it the keyboard bottleneck. Think of it like this invisible barrier, this wall that stands between what you're thinking and what you're actually doing. And it might be the very thing holding back your best, most brilliant ideas.
Okay, get this. The average person types at what, maybe 40 words per minute? But we can speak comfortably at 150. I mean, our brains are just firing off ideas constantly, these flashes of inspiration, these complex connections, but our fingers, they just can't keep up. And that creates this huge gap between the speed of our thoughts and the speed of our typing. And it's in that gap that amazing ideas just get lost.
You know the feeling, right? You're in the zone, everything is flowing, you're on a roll. And then you see it, a typo. So you stop, you hit backspace, you fix the letter, and poof, the magic is gone. That tiny little act of correction can completely derail a productive train of thought. It's so frustrating, and we've all been there. So, the big question is, how do we get around this bottleneck? Well, that brings us to our next idea, thinking out loud. This is all about using your voice to capture that raw stream of consciousness, and in doing so, unlocking a much more natural, free-flowing kind of creativity. To really get why this works so well, we have to talk about this fascinating little psychological trick called rubber ducking. Seriously, programmers have been doing this for years. They'll literally explain a coding problem, line by painful line, to a little rubber duck sitting on their desk. And it's brilliant, because it proves just how powerful it is to say our thoughts out loud to find some clarity. Now, this is where voice AI takes that concept and just puts it on steroids. It becomes your own personal digital sounding board. So instead of talking into the void, you're actually in a dialogue, a back and forth that can help you sharpen your ideas and your logic in real time.
The whole process is incredibly simple, but really powerful. First, you just talk about the problem. You verbalize it. Just the act of explaining it out loud forces you to start structuring your thoughts. And here's the magic. So often, just in that process of structuring, you find the solution yourself. The clarity just appears.
Okay, so this isn't just for brainstorming big, creative projects. One of the most practical day-to-day benefits of voice AI is how it helps us reclaim our day. It's about turning all that dead time we have into really valuable strategic time. And we all have these moments, right? The commute to work, the time you're just standing there making coffee, or walking the dog, or tidying up the kitchen. These are all minutes in our day where we're basically running on autopilot. But what if we weren't?
This is where you can use voice AI to run a little pre-game session for your workday. While you're driving, while you're getting ready, you can just talk through your priorities, brainstorm a tough problem, or even just outline your to-do list for the day. So by the time you actually sit down at your desk, your brain is already warmed up and ready to go.
All of this is pointing to a much bigger shift. The future of how we work, and honestly, how we interact with technology in general, it's really becoming a conversation. We are fundamentally reshaping that entire relationship.
When you really think about it, this whole shift is just about moving towards what's most natural for us. I mean, speaking is the first, most intuitive interface we ever learn as humans. It lets us be creative and nuanced in a way that just tapping on a screen or typing in a box, it just can't match. And there's this idea that just nails it perfectly. We are moving away from commanding computers and toward conversing with them. It's not about giving orders anymore. It's about having a fluid, back-and-forth dialogue with our digital tools.
So if there's one big takeaway here, it's this. Work is no longer something you just do at a computer. By untethering ourselves from the keyboard, work becomes this ongoing conversation that can stay with you no matter where you are. At your desk, in your car, out on a walk. It's always with you.
So I'm going to leave you with this final thought to chew on. If all the friction of typing was just gone, and your voice was your one and only interface with all this technology, what's the first thing you would create?